Okay, so looking at the interface in general, kind of some explanations about what you're looking at and how we will be working. If you have your modeling tab up here, here's my incremental save going in. You're going to want to keep it on modeling tab if you open it up, and it's just basically you have your different settings, your standard, your expert. I'm going to be working in classic because I like to keep my timeline here, but you don't really necessarily need it for this purposes. You could switch to right here, but if you want to keep it in classic, that's cool too, mainly because I like to look at the outliner too. We're going to be looking at this shelf right here, mainly in general. We will be looking at some of the animation, but mainly modeling, and that puts us basically at like this poly modeling shelf up here where you've got all these shapes and stuff, and you can go further and create more of these, and then we'll be looking at some of the curves, the nerves, and surface tools you can use. This is your outliner. If I were to drop a sphere in there, all of a sudden P cube 1 shows up. You can rename this to demo. Drop another one in there, P cube 1. If I undo that and undo the name and drop another one in there, you'll notice it P cube 2, and so on and so on. Delete works the same. Delete. Over here, you've got this channel box editor tab, modeling tools, attribute. We'll look at this channel box editor basically for right now. Or actually, if you match the space bar just out of the get-go, you get 4 separate panels. Your perspective view, your side view, front view, top view. You can also change these two over here, right? 4 view, 2 view, 1 view, or you could basically space bar on the 4, and anytime you hover your mouse over that window and press the space bar, you'll go to that mapping out view. In other words, if you drop a sphere in there, that is a sphere you're looking at from the perspective view. Hit space bar, go to your front view. This is from the front view. It's from the top view. If you move this, you'll see the way all of them are moving, but you can't really see it's moving in the front view because it's actually moving on this axis, in other words. We'll get to that in a minute. So then you have your XYZ controller right here, where you can see basically the different planes that you can move it in these 3 axes. And then you'll notice whenever you just click on, say, a object, when it drops it over here, you got your channel box, your parameters over here, everything's on 0. Now say if you go and you move, this is the y-axis, and you move it on this green arrow up, look at your translate y, the values over here are going up because you're moving it on that axis. And you can literally go over here and basically type in values. So you want it to go up 2 units, press enter. It's moved up 2 units from 0. I want it to move over this way too. And then we'll move it another way on the other axis too. Now we're kind of right there in the middle, medium of the 3. Take it back to 0. And you can see the way this is done basically if you look at these 4, which we just looked at basically, the way it's moved just on this axis here. The thing you got to be careful of whenever you're moving things around with these move tools right here, which you've got your translate, your rotate, and your scale tool. Whenever you move something up, that's your y-axis. You move it on the red, that's your x-axis. You move it on the z, that's your z-axis. Now if you were to select in the middle right there and just left click like you've been doing, now you're moving all 3 values. If you look at your translate over here, all 3 of these values are moving. The way I'm scrolling in now is I'm just using my mouse, rolling my mouse key. I guess I should go over that. Roll your mouse key to zoom in and out. Press Alt, and now you can kind of middle mouse key, press the button, and you can pan. And if you left click and Alt key, you can pan around basically. So it's zoom, scroll the middle mouse button, Alt, middle mouse button, you can pan, Alt, left click, and you kind of zoom around and pan around at the same time. Your translate tool, move up and down. Rotate tool, you could rotate on the axis. And your scale tool works the same way. So if you just pull out the scale on Y, you're just pulling it to the Y. If you pull the scale to the X, you're pulling it to the X. Same way with the Z. If you want to scale everything uniformly, you grab that middle box and you just left click, scale up and down. We get rid of it. But yeah, that's an introduction to the move tools and to the interface, basically. I would suggest getting a mouse. I couldn't foresee you doing this without a mouse, really. It's very difficult to work with just a trackpad, navigating the interface in general. So keep an eye on your outliner over here. If you can see everything that will be in your scene will be over there. These are your cameras for your views, your perspective, and if you were to create new cameras, they would add over here your lights. We'll get into that later, but you don't want to delete those because if you do, then there'll be this dark geometry you won't be able to see, but you need to keep the default lighting in there. You're zooming, you're panning around, and then your scale tools and your transform, your rotate. The shortcuts, the hotkeys for the scale, these three tools here are E runs your rotate, W is the transform, and R is the scale. Sometimes if you hover over these things, it'll tell you the hotkeys, but I don't have it set up on my exactly what these things will do. But okay, so that's kind of a crash course in the interface. Basically, what you kind of be paying attention to the first couple weeks. Your channel box editor over here. You can click on different attributes and stuff of these channels, but for right now, we'll just stay in this channel box editor over here so you can see these values change whenever you move them, basically. And like I said, you can always go and if you click on stuff, just type in values. If you want to rotate this 90 degrees, you just type in 90. You have that thing basically rotated on the x-axis at 90 degrees. So you want to go halfway, or you can just type in 45. So yeah, okay. Well, we'll end it with this one. So until next time.